Okay, so yesterday we learned about what a proportional relationship is and how we can represent it. Now we are going to talk about how to graph proportional relationships. So my learner's question is going to be simple today. It's how can I graph a proportional relationship? Okay, oh, question mark. Okay. And then you need to go back to yesterday's notes and complete those two questions. I will have them filled out in the You Try answers tomorrow. So example number 1 says create a table and a graph to represent the situation. So the situation is every time you earn 10 stars at Starbucks, you earn a free drink. So kind of got this table laid out. And so we're saying we have the number of stars. That's going to be like my input, my x value. Okay, remember my x is always on the top. And then my number of free drinks is my output, or my y value. Okay, now the way that I know that this is my input and that's my output is my number of free drinks comes from my number of stars. So it's like I have this machine, my input, okay, is my stars. So I have the stars go in and out comes my free drink. Okay, so that's how I know which one's the input and which one's the output. So I can't just earn 1 star and get a free drink. So if I earn 0 stars, okay, well, how many free drinks do I get? Well, I only get none. I don't get any. I have to get 10 stars to get a free drink. Okay, so if I get 10 stars, that gives me 1 free drink. Okay, well, now I'm thinking of my multiples. Okay, so my next multiple of 10 is 20. So with 20 stars, I should have 2 free drinks. Now what if I have 50 stars? That would be 5 free drinks. Okay, so I'm going to use this graph to create that. Now I know that my x value is number of stars, so I'm going to label that. And I know that my y value is number of free drinks, so I'm going to label that. I'm actually label it this way. So number of free drinks. Okay. And then I'm going to kind of look at my table to determine how I'm going to label my graph. So I only get a drink every 10 stars. So I'm going to actually go by tens on my x-axis, and I'm actually because it's so small, I'm only going to write every 20, but I'm still going by 10. So like this is 10, but it's so squished that I'm just going to write 20 on the next, then 30, this is 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, so on and so forth. Okay, and then I see that my number of free drinks goes by ones, so that's what I'm going to label my y-axis by. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So now I'm going to plot some of my points. So I have 0, 0. Okay, because remember that means 0 stars equals 0 drink. Okay, free drinks. Okay. Okay, if I get 10 stars, I get 1 free drink. 20 stars gives me 2 free drinks. And then I went all the way to 50 and got 5 free drinks. Okay, and so that makes that line. So you see that proportional relationship, okay? That line, that straight line, oops, straight line, and it goes through the origin. So that is a proportional relationship. I know it didn't ask that, but I think it's important to go back to what we learned yesterday. Okay, so that shows that's a proportional relationship. Okay? Go ahead and do the You Try number 1 that's next. Okay, example number 2 says a video game store has a frequent shopper program. You earn 4 points for every video game you buy. Draw a graph to model the situation where the horizontal axis is the number of games bought and the vertical axis is the points, like the points that you've got, these points. Okay, when it says points. Okay, so horizontal axis is this axis, my y-axis, or my x-axis, I'm sorry. Okay, so my horizontal is my x-axis, and my vertical is my y-axis. Okay, so this is number of games. And then my y-axis is number of points. Okay. So I don't have a table to go off of this time, but it says 4 points for 1 game. Okay, now, do I get the points because of the game or the game because of the points? I get the points because of the game. So this is my input, like they said, my x, and this is my output. You have to think of which one is dependent on the other. That's your independent and dependent variables that you often hear about in science. So you're thinking which one impacts the other. It's the number of games that you buy impacts your number of points. Okay, so there's my 0. Okay, so I'm going to list out my number of games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you could go all the way to 10. 8, 9, 10. Okay, if I do that many games, how many points do I get? I'm going to go by 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I could keep going. Okay, now when I plot, it's going to be really careful that I'm pretty good at estimating. So if I buy 0 games, that's 0 points. Okay, if I buy 1 game, I know that's 4 points. So that's a little bit less than 5. Okay. And then if I buy 2 games, okay, so 2 games would be how many points do you think? 8 points. Okay, so 8, and it should be making a line. Okay, 3 games, well, if it's 1 or 4 points for 1 game, I'm going to multiply, if I'm doing 3 games, okay, I'm going to multiply by 3, the points by 3. So 3 times 4 is 12, so I'm just a little bit above 10 now. I'm going to stop there. I don't really need to keep going. Okay, so there's my line, my graph. Okay, now the next part of it says you need 48 points for a free game. How many video games do you need to buy to have enough points for a free game? Well, some of you can probably do that in your head, but if we're thinking that my unknown, okay, is my number of games, well, number of games is my x value, right? Okay, and I know the points. Okay, I want 48 points. That's my y value. I can set up an equation here so that I can figure out how many games it would take. So I know I get 4 points per game, so that's 4x, okay, and it needs to equal 48. So to solve that, I just divide by 4, and then x equals 12. So it would take 12 games to get 48 points and get that free game. You'd have to buy 12 games. Hope your parents have a lot of money. Okay, go ahead and do the U try. Okay, example number 3 says, a salesperson earns a 10% commission on sales of energy-efficient appliances. Draw a graph to model this situation where the horizontal axis is the sales and the vertical axis is the commission made. Is the amount of commission proportional to the amount of sales? How do you know? Okay, we'll talk about that part in a second. But first we got to do this. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is label my graph. So horizontal axis is the sales, and that's in dollars. Okay, and then commission is my y-axis, my vertical axis, and that's also in dollars. Okay, so they get a portion of the money that you have made the company. They get, these salespeople get a portion of it. So if I sell $100, okay, so if my sales are $100, I'm going to get 10% of that, which as a decimal is 0.01 or 0.10. So 10% is 0.10, and that gives me 10. Okay, so the salesperson would get a $10 commission. Okay, well, what if it was $200? Okay, they would get $20 because 200 times 0.10 is 20. Okay, 300, what do you think it's going to be? It's going to be 30. Okay, 500, it's going to be 50. Okay, remember it's just one decimal place over. So I'm going to label my graph based on that. So, and yours may look different if you chose to use different x values, but again, I'm only going to label every other one. So this is my 100, so I'm just going to label 200, 400, 600, so on and so forth. And then my commission, I noticed, is going by tens, so that's how I'm going to label my y-axis. Okay. Okay, so if there are 0 sales, okay, if that is not a very good salesperson of those energy efficient appliances, okay, then they're not going to make any commission. Okay, if they sell that $100, they're making $10, $200, $20, $300, $30, $500, $50. Okay, so there's my line. Okay, so it wants to know, is the amount of commission proportional to the amount of sales? So they're just saying, is this a proportional relationship? And we're going to say yes, okay, because the graph is, okay, or think back to our notes from yesterday, okay, it has to be a straight line through the origin. Okay. Okay, you're going to go ahead and do the you try number 3. Okay? Okay, last example, example number 4. Ice forms at 0 degrees Celsius. The surface temperature of the ice on an ice rink decreases 0.5 degrees Celsius every hour. Draw a graph to model the situation where the horizontal axis is time and the vertical axis is the temperature of the surface of the ice. Start when the surface temperature of the ice is 0. So we have to label our axes. So horizontal axis is time, and if you'll notice, this looks a little bit different because this is decreasing, so this is going to go into the negatives. Okay, so that's why my graph looks a little bit different, because it's decreasing. The temperature is going down. So my horizontal axis is still my x-axis, so this is time. Okay, and then my vertical axis is the temp of ice surface. And that's in degrees Celsius. And my time on this one is in hours. Okay. So it wants us to start at 0. Okay. Now, I noticed that this is decreasing by 0.5 degrees every hour, but I'm just going to go ahead and just go by ones. Now, because I'm decreasing and this is below 0, make sure that when you label, you use negatives. Okay, for my y's, because my y, this is below 0. Okay. Now, over here, okay, this is still to the right of 0, so this is still positive. Okay, so my x's are still positive, and we don't want time to be negative anyway, so time needs to be positive. So 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so on and so forth. Okay, so it says start when the surface temperature of the ice is 0 degrees. So when it's 0 degrees, that means that no time has passed. Okay. After 1 hour, okay, after 1 hour, it's decreased by 0.5 degrees. So that's only half a degree. Okay, 0.5 is 1/2. So if after 1 hour, okay, so after 1 hour, temp has decreased by half a degree. So that's not a whole lot, okay, by 1/2 of a degree. So I'm not going to go down a whole degree. I'm only going down half of a degree. And then after 2 hours, it's gone down another half degree. After 3 hours, it's gone another half. 4 hours, another half. Okay? If you think about it, if you multiply this input by 1/2, you get the temperature. Okay, so like here after 10, well, half of 10 is 5. Okay, so it's decreased to -5. So if I draw a line, let me get a ruler. Hold on. Okay, so if I draw a line from those points I started at the beginning and that random point that I kind of added there at the end, they should all line up nice. Okay, and look at that, it does. Okay, so, and that was a little off, but, okay, so that is a graph showing that situation. So go ahead and do the you try number 4.